Italy's political crisis rattled global markets on Tuesday, with the Dow dropping almost 400 points, while Italian bonds had their worst day in over a quarter of a century. Fresh elections could be on the cards as soon as the end of July, after President Mattarella blocked a proposed coalition between the populist five-star movement and the League on the right by rejecting its choice of Eurosceptic economy minister. Instead, the president called on ex-IMF official Carlo Cottarelli to form a technocrat government. IG's Italy analyst Filippo Diodovich joins me now to discuss via Skype from Milan. Filippo, thanks for joining us. We've seen the Italian two-year yield jump above 2% for the first time since 2013. Do you think this is an overreaction from the bond market, or is the risk of default significantly higher now that snap elections are looking likely?
I think that it was like an overreaction, but we have a problem. We have a really tough situation, this political deadlock. So we saw a lot of sales for bonds, like as you said, like the 2 years T-notes was like an increase in yields extraordinary. But what we have to see is like what will happen next, because right now we have a lot of talks about what can happen, and I think that like the political parties are trying to find like a solution that could like give some stability at the bond markets, because right now it's like the bond market that is impacted, is heated, but also like the banks, the stocks, the financial stocks are hit by the political deadlock.
So what's driving the price action? Because we've seen significant reverberations across global markets. The US and Asian banks took a hit, while safe haven assets like the dollar and US Treasury have been catching a bid. How much of this volatility is related to the fear that Italy could leave the Eurozone? Because we've got to remember that that wasn't part of the manifestos of either the five-star movement or the League.
Yeah, it was not in the agenda of League and five-star movement. But if you saw like the deal that they did, the government contract that they signed, the first contract that they signed was like they asked like the ECB to cancel part of the debt of Italy. They kind of like they ask something about like that they could like imagine like a possible Italy exit. Also, they insisted to put like Savona, that is like a famous economist, but he wrote a lot of books about like a plan B for like a possible exit of Italy of a euro area. Because like we have like some problems to keep the budget in line. It's more like the League, but also they have a lot of economists that they want, that they want to try a solution to leave the euro area. Five-star movement, they are like. They are not so much about like Italy exit, but we still don't know, because as I said, they didn't put this in their agenda, but we will see what is going to happen next.
Do you think it was undemocratic of President Mattarella to step in and essentially veto the proposed coalition between the five-star and the League, which are the two most popular parties according to the latest opinion polls? Because we know the five-star leader Di Maio initially called for Mattarella's impeachment, but he's since obviously rolled that back.
Yeah, you know, like also, yeah, it was like Di Maio that called for impeachment. Salvini didn't say anything. Also, he asked for like to lower this like the kind of aggressive move that Di Maio did. Also, Di Maio lately he changed his stance. He's not like so aggressive that he was like after the Conte was like the Conte government was like kind of refused by Mattarella. It's important right now to see what is going to happen next, about the talks that we are doing right now, like five-star movement, the League, and also if it's going to be Cottarelli what will do, because as we know from the latest news is that Cottarelli, former IMF economist, is going to wait because there is still chance for a political government. So Cottarelli, that is going to be like a technical government, is going to wait to see in the next day what will happen with the talks between the political
So what do you
parties.
think are the chances then of getting snap elections, and if so, when might they be? Because some are saying they could be as soon as the end of July. And what would be the most likely outcome there?
Yeah, I think like the most probable scenario is going to be like a fresh election, probably in July. They asked to Salvini today about like election in July. Salvini said as soon as possible. It's going to be Mattarella that is going to decide when to do the election. You know, like end of July could be like kind of a problem because it's like in the middle of the summer, so it could be. The turnout could be not be so great, but you know, like we have like a very difficult situation. So also like in July could have like a good turnout, but like right now, if we see the polls, like. Five-star movement and the league are really close. Before, like five-star movement was like first party with like a really big difference with the others. And right now, what could we see if there is still a coalition, a right coalition between the league, Forza Italia and Fratelli d'Italia, that could be like over 40%, so they could have a majority. But we still don't know if this alliance, this coalition between the right movement is still going on, because Berlusconi was kind of silent in the latest days. He didn't speak so much, so we still don't know what could happen with Forza Italia.
So it's interesting that we could get that right-wing coalition, but if we were to get the League joining forces with the five-star movement, I wanted to get your thoughts on what that might mean for public debt, because it's currently sitting at 132% of GDP. That's the biggest in the Eurozone, and with proposed tax cuts and spending plan, it doesn't look like there's that much focus on fiscal prudence.
Yeah, you are right. Like, if they follow the contract deal that they did for the government, they promise too much. There are too much promises about like income for like for people, for poor people, and also like the flat tax is gonna cost too much, and we don't have money to do like that. Also, we have also about like there is like a really big problem about sustainability of the debt. Also, like the Banca d'Italia governor said just like yesterday that we cannot like accept to not have like a coverture about like all these political measures that they are promising a five-star movement league, so they could like change again like the deal, but I'm not so sure that in the next election, five-star movement and the league, they will go together. They will probably like go separate, and then if the result is going to be the same, also because we still didn't change the electoral law, so it's still the same. So we could have the same result without a winner, and so we will see if they can like still talk and form a government together.
So I wanted to ask you about what all this certainty might mean for Italy's banking sector. It's already been grappling with the legacy non-performing loans issue, and now there's the sell-off in Italian sovereign bonds, many of which are on their balance sheets, and that's likely to add further pressure. How concerned should we be about the banks at this stage and systemic risk there?
Yeah, we are concerned because like this year is going to be like a really challenging year for like the Italian banks, because we have like there is the process of the banking union, there are like the stress test, the ECB stress test. We have like the quantitative easing program that is going to end like probably like in the next months. So the banking sector is really we have to be focused on the banking sector. We think that like there are some banks, like the big banks, like Intesa Sanpaolo, UniCredit, also Banco BPM, that they did a really good effort for like selling package of non-performing loans. So I think they could like they could have like a better performance instead of like the small banks that still have a really big problem with patrimony. They have a big problem with like non-performing loans. They still have a lot of non-performing loans in their balance sheet. So that could be like they could like have not so, they could be not so good, and they could be we could see like a lot of sales still for like the Italian small banks.
And just quickly before we go, no doubt the ECB will be keeping a very watchful eye on the unfolding political events in Italy. But what does the Italian political crisis mean for the ECB's timeline in terms of rolling back QE? Because at the moment, remember, it's still buying Italian government bonds and essentially providing a put in the market there.
Yeah, we saw like on the news that there are some like members of the executive board that were saying that like in the next ECB meeting we will have like further information about like the ending of the quantitative easing program. I'm sure that Draghi is talking inside the executive board and is like underlying that like the Italian situation is a problem, so it could like kind of like impact also like the ECB policies. I'm thinking that like some members, some governors from the Northern Europe, they are insisting to change stance, ECB stance, so be like more restrictive, so more like ending sooner the quantitative easing problem, and also like increasing the interest rates, and I'm thinking that like Southern Europe governors are instead more like so let's wait a little bit, so let's see what's going to happen in Italy, because Italy is the fourth economy in Europe, is the third economy in the euro area, so it's too big to not like help her or like to sustain her. So for that, like Draghi is going to be like probably more dovish than we thought before.
Okay, Filippo, thanks so much for your time. That was IG's Italy analyst Filippo Diodovich joining us there via Skype from Milan. Thanks for watching IGTV. See you very soon.
Subscribe to IG for educational content, company insight, financial analysis and expert commentary.